Hello, everybody, and welcome to Seller Ladies Live. I don't know what number we're up to now.
Oh, don't know. Yeah.
Don't know if that's relevant, but
double figures.
Yeah.
All professionalism going on here.
The umpteenth Seller Ladies Live.
Is it 12?
Might be. Yeah, I'll have to look back at that. Anyway, doesn't matter. So yeah, hi everybody in the chat. Thanks for joining us. We are joined by Karin.
Hello.
And Karin.
Hi everyone.
And Sam, who's reselling Polly.
Hi.
And Shelley.
Hiya.
And Nick's vlogging me now.
It has to be in every single one.
And today, as you can see by the subject, we're going to talk about death piles. Now, I know that some people are a bit offended by the term death pile, so we're going to discuss all of that and see what you'd rather call it or what how you see it. So I think our first question, well, should I just explain what a death pile is, just in case somebody is confused by that? I basically would say my death pile is my backlog of stock. So it's all the stuff that you've got that isn't listed. So basically, if you've got tons of stuff that you haven't listed, sitting there, that's your death pile. So first question to the panel is, how do you define a death pile, or what is your definition of a death pile? I'll go to Karin first.
Right, I have two different kinds of death piles. Stock that isn't listed doesn't class as a death pile to me. The only stock that isn't listed that classes as a death pile is, for example, at the moment, I've still got a big bunch of Sophie's books that she wants me to sell, and I have got zero to little interest to actually listing them. They're in my death pile because they're getting pushed to the bottom. Every time I buy new stock, they go to the bottom. And the other one for a death pile is I've got a big mountain behind me. I'll put it on Instagram, stuff that is listed that I just want rid of. Yeah. Because it's just doing my head in, going round and round and round.
Yeah. So would you define a death pile as stuff that you just really don't want to list? That's just
stuff that gets under my skin.
Yeah. How about you, Karin? Do you see it similar?
Yeah, it's I've got some stuff unlisted that I don't really want to list or I can't face. I've still got about half the camera haul sitting there in one of those Kallax boxes, and I've got some shoes which are cleaned, so I have got no excuse there. I just need to photograph them. So yeah, it's not too bad. It's not as bad as it was. I think before I said I had about 200 items, but it's a bit more than that now. A bit less than that now because I've processed a lot this week. So about half that now, I would say.
Yeah, that's good. Hi, Heather.
Oh, hi, Heather.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm late. I had that classic Friday morning thing where someone buys something and then decides they want it reasonably quickly. So I have to post before 2 o'clock when the Hermes man comes. So apologies.
Is that the term they used, Heather? Would it be possible to get this reasonably quickly, or were they slightly more demanding?
Well, they said they were going on holiday next week, and I just wanted to be sure it got there. So yeah.
Oh, that's good.
It was a polite request, so I didn't mind.
Yeah, that's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not bad when they're polite. It's when it's like, I need this by Monday. Can you get it to me now?
And I have quite a long dispatch time on my stuff to cover me in case I can't find something, or to allow for, all the stuff that goes on. So really, if they're wanting it quickly, they've come to the wrong person. But I can, and I do always try to deliver way ahead of what I say the delivery date will be, so that gives us all plenty of time.
Yeah, I think most of us do that. We had a funny one last weekend. Somebody bought something at like 9 o'clock at night on a Friday. And then on Sunday, they emailed and said, why hasn't this been posted?
Yes. Yeah.
About that now. Yeah. So Heather, just to get you up to speed, we are talking about death piles. And we're asking what your definition of a death pile is.
For me personally, I haven't got much in the way of death piles. I do have piles of unlisted stock, which I work through. I have piles of stuff that needs repairing that I work through. But I do accumulate stuff that I just don't quite know what to do with. It's not good enough. It's got a fault. And you know what? It goes back to the charity shop. I keep it for a while and I think, you know what? I can't be asked. It's gone.
Yeah. So I'm seeing a bit of a difference here, that we're seeing that your unlisted stock is very different to a death pile.
Yeah.
A death pile is more something that you just really don't want to deal with, but it's just there. Do you think that, Sam?
Yes, definitely. I have too. Like you say, like everybody else has. When you start off in reselling, you buy things and then they just sit there, don't they? And then when you find your niche and you find out, you know, where you want to sell things, that stuff sort of just sits there and sits there and sits there. And I did my very first car boot a couple of weeks ago to get rid of all that stock, and what didn't sell went back to the charity shop. And I know now not to pick that up again. That's what I would define as a death pile. Something that you buy that you know you're never going to list. Maybe at the time when you buy it, you think, yeah, I want it, I'm going to list it, and there's profit in it, but you just no interest in it, and it just sits there. That's my definition of a death pile. My piles of, I've got like 6 or 7 IKEA bags in my back room, which is full of stock, unlisted stock. That's not a death pile to me. That's my stock. That's my cushion. That's my, if I can't find anything for weeks, that's there, and I know it's there to list. So, yeah, I suppose everybody thinks of a death pile different ways, but mine's just stock that I'm never going to list, and it's just stuck there.
Yeah. Lex has just said in the chat, my death pile is the stuff I fear listing. The rest is just as yet unlisted.
Mm-hmm.
That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
How do you see it, Shelley?
I haven't really got death piles. But however, in a way, if it's stuff that like mistake buys, they're listed, and then it takes me quite a long time to realise they're never going to sell, and then I have to take them off and free cycle them or give them back to the charity shop. So, but yeah, because I hate sitting on stuff, so it just gets listed. But even though it may have been a mistake buy, stuff just gets on or get rid. What did somebody just say I thought was relevant? No, it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, you're quite good at getting rid of stuff, aren't you? When you just don't want to deal with it, or you think you.
Yeah, things get right under my skin, which I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but and I get sick of seeing things going round and round. So yes, I'd rather just. But then maybe I'm a bit bull in a china shop with like, oh my god, I can't stand doing this anymore, get rid of it, I don't give it as much chance, because I've seen some people saying, oh, I've had this done for 2 years, and I'm like, oh my god, no, I couldn't do that. It would drive me crazy, and then I'd drive everybody else crazy. So
I think it depends what it is though, Shelley. You probably have got stuff in your store, in your shop, that's been listed and some longer than some of the stuff that's getting underneath your skin.
Yeah, that's possible actually, because if it's like like the cross stitch kits and they're all just sit there nicely behaving themselves, then I've got a lot of time for them. If it's a freaking coat that keeps falling out and just getting on my wick, then I've got very, very little. It's got weeks really.
That's what that box is full of, coats. I've got 2 coats that I'm keeping. Not I'm keeping, but I'm keeping in my stock. The rest, they're all being auctioned.
I got rid of sacks of black sacks of coats, which was one of my February goals, was to just get rid of coats that weren't selling. But then I've been buying more coats. So
I think Becca made a good point in the chat. She's just said, I think the biggest cause of death piles is when resellers follow the trends or successions of other resellers without actually knowing or having a passion for the items. So that's no, you'll pick something up because you see money in it, because you've seen other resellers, and then you've just really got no interest in selling it. I hold my hands up. I'm guilty for doing that myself, especially with board games and stuff. Like now, I don't pick board games and don't pick jigsaws up unless they're sealed, unless they're the really, really ones that, like, I don't know, I sold one just before Christmas. What was it? The oldie ones. I've got one in the back, Crusader or something it's called. I don't know. You know, the ones that are worth like nearly £100, stuff like that. I would possibly pick those up. But your general bog standard board games, even though I know there's money in them, I'm just not interested in them. I'm not interested in setting them up, photographing them. Yeah, you've got to find what you enjoy selling, which
and Nick picks that up because he just loves it.
Yes,
you know, thrives on setting up his board games and all of that passion.
Yeah, I mean, James Moore's just put a comment in there. I don't understand anyone having a death pile. It just seems like bad management. Basically, if you have things to sell, you will never sell them if they're not listed. So the system should be acquire, list, store, sell. Now, yes, that's good in theory, but it depends how you source as well. It also depends how you source. If you buy in bulk, like Zahir and Bex, you're not going to be able to get that all listed straight away. And they may call some of that as a death pile, but they will deal with it as they go along.
Yeah.
If you source primarily seasonally, like boot fairs, you stock up for the colder months because you source primarily there. I think it really does depend on how you do. And for me, I can't possibly go out sourcing every single day. Well, I could, but I get bored of doing it. So I tend to go out and buy loads, then come in and I work my way through that. And then I will go out again before I run out, because the neurotic part of my brain turns around and goes, well, what if I don't find a lot? What am I going to list next week? I could only have 10 things to list. You know, as I said, I know it's ludicrous, but there's a little comfort blanket I like having.
I think sometimes as well, when you go out sourcing, you know, you might go out one day and find loads of stuff, and then you might, like you said, Karen, you'll go another day and there'll be nothing there. So it's always worth having stock to list.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick and I were talking earlier, and that's exactly the way that we've always sourced. We source seasonally, we store stuff away. We are guilty of buying too much, and then you end up with that can become a problem. But for the most part, we see ourselves as, and I've said this before, as squirrels. You know, we kind of we find our nuts when they're available and we bury them, kind of thing. You know,
I do think there is a danger if you resell clothing and you primarily resell clothing and you go for fashion trends. If all you do is source the fashion trends, by the time you get to list it, it could be out of fashion.
Yeah, that's very true.
You know.
Yeah.
I generally buy with clothing. I generally buy stuff that I like.
Yeah.
I generally do. I don't generally go on trends. I mean, obviously, you listen to what others are saying about trends, and if you see something, you think, "Oh, well, that's supposed to be on trend. I'll buy that." Yeah. But generally, as a rule of thumb, I go in a charity shop and I buy what I like and I sell what I like, and I think that's why I enjoy listing and selling clothing, because I'm buying and listing stuff I like.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I remember the thing that I'd forgotten. I'm sure it was from Carla, who used to talk about eating your frog, like early in the day. And I always think about that, and so I try and list the stuff that I know is just going to get put to the side first, and that also
Jelly.
You what?
Eat a frog a day.
Yeah, Frodo frog. Eat those as well. Yeah, but like going for the stuff that you don't particularly want to do, you get it out of the way, and it does help. Otherwise, you'll always put it off.
My frog is photographing in the office. If I don't, I go in the office and the first thing I do is after I've done my orders, because my dad comes early to take my orders to the post office. I do my photographs before I do anything else, because I just hate it. So get them done and out the way.
Yeah.
This is my frog. It's a tin of jewellery. So what I do every day, I make myself list one thing out of the tin of jewellery. Now, this jewellery in here cost me about £6 in total, because there was 2 lots that I got for £4, and I've already listed over half of it. And I know there's money in it, but if I was just to sit down and list this, I would lose my mind. So I'm happy sitting on my £6, just sitting there in a tub, you know.
Yeah, for me, my problem and my death pile is stuff that I buy and don't realise has issues, because I think we had a comment from someone on one of the social media sites that said they don't ever buy anything with issues. Well, I try really hard to buy anything with issues, but then you put it home and you discover there's a hole you didn't notice, or there's a stain that you didn't see because of the light. and I just end up putting it in a pile, and it just piles up and piles up, and I don't deal with it, and I just pull out the stuff that's easy to do, quickly steam and photograph. So I'm definitely going to spend some days next week dealing with that.
I've actually found a solution for that. I bag them up and send them up to my mum's.
I've got a better solution. Just don't do it. What I do is, if I get it, if it's got a stain on it, it'll go in the wash. It'll just go in my washing pile. But if it's anything more like that, a repair, etc., I even list it as it is, give it back to charity.
Yeah,
I do have a pile of stuff that has repairs, and because a lot of the stuff I do is vintage, that's going to happen. And actually, I've got a lot better at doing repairs than I used to. I've acquired quite a skill, but I like to sit down, have a proper afternoon, and just plough through it, and I can whiz through it. But my main rule with so-called death piles and stuff is nothing that is unlisted goes in my stockroom. So I've got it sat in front of me where I can see it, and I'm looking over there because there it lurks, of stuff that is, most of that is actually to be bagged. It's been listed, it just hasn't been bagged and put away. But that way I keep it separate, and I'm not going to forget. I'm not going to be thinking, oh, well, yeah, I'm on top of things, because there's a whacking great pile eyeballing me in the corner, demanding to be done. So once it's done, then it goes in the stockroom, and then I can feel pleased with self. But I do like having a backlog I like having a cushion, I think, as Karin put it, of drafted listings that are ready to go live, because I literally have about 50 at any one time, and I literally bang out 5 a day. And it's, all I can say is currently it's not doing me any harm. It seems to be working quite well.
Yeah. Talking of mending things, you're very handy with a sewing machine, Karin. Do you have issues with that, or do you just sort of get on with stuff and mend it?
Well, funnily enough, 2 items that I bought last week have got issues, and I'm taking them back after this. I'm going to go and take them back to the shop. One of them was a new with tags pair of trousers. The original price was £115. Ooh. And I went to photograph them, and somebody had untacked all the bottom of the legs and just sewed them up really badly, shorter. So I'm just going to take those back. And I can't be bothered to do them on the sewing machine, to be honest. Because the sewing machine I have out all the time, that's like an industrial one, and you can't really do sort of dressmaking on that.
Okay.
So I'd have to get my other sewing machine out. And then, sadly, an LK Bennett skirt that I bought I went to photograph that, and it's got a tear in the back. I didn't even see the tear. So that's a bit of a shame. So I'm going to take them both back after this.
Yeah.
I do repair stuff, though. My dad repairs some stuff for me as well, actually. My dad, I had a silk blend dress where someone had ripped the top of the zip, and he used to be a tailor's apprentice, so he done a lovely job at sewing that up really neatly. He's a better hand sewer than me, so.
I can only hand sew. I don't go anywhere near a machine. In fact, I'm trying to sell a machine I've never used. It's just an ordinary Singer, electric one. But the thought now, that is in my death pile, because I keep wanting to list it, but trying to photograph it and the thought of posting it fills me with horror. Big stuff.
Yeah, actually, Heather, haven't you got a rather nice Olympus in your death pile? Olympus camera.
Oh, I have actually. Yeah, it's a Mew. It isn't the Mew 2, the very expensive one. But what I need to do is get the right sort of battery to see if it works. And I don't. So I'll buy one day, but
order it off eBay. That's what I did.
Yeah, I got mine off eBay.
I should, yeah. It's just spending out on the battery to find it doesn't work would be annoying.
Yeah, but then you've got it for the next camera. Just keep it in a drawer.
Exactly. I will do it, but it's that sort of thing that gets a bit forgotten. Electronics I hate with a passion, because I'm so fearful of them not working and getting returns. Right. So yeah, that is definitely not my area.
Oh, are they putting some kind of quiz in the chat?
No, I think they're asking for a quiz.
There's a comment from James Moore, says, but dead stock that isn't listed is dead stock? ? Just a debt and an anchor around your neck. If you say you're not going to be, anymore until you list it. I don't know.
Buy anymore. Yeah.
Source anymore, maybe. Surely that's a better system. Well, that brings us on to the next point: is can a backlog, as I put it, or a pile of unlisted stock actually be a good thing? What do you think, Shelley?
I think probably technically, you know, like how we say sometimes you go to the charity shop and you find bugger all, that I've kind of thought about this before, because I've heard about people that even just completely stock up at car boots in the summer to keep them going, because the charity shops are very, you know, expensive in their area. And but I know I can't, I'd just kill myself till I listed it all. But I kind of think sometimes it would be good, because that's happened to me and I've come back and I'm like, oh, in a right hump, because I couldn't find anything. I think, yeah, it's if you can be good with yourself, I guess, and get around to it. I mean, I tend to be able to find enough to keep me ticking over every time I go out. So, yeah, but potentially.
So, what about you, Sam? What do you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. For me, it's a good thing. Might not be for everybody, but for me, it's like a bit of a security blanket, isn't it? It's like,
that's the way I see it.
you know, you go out one day and you don't find anything, you know, you've still got stuff to list. Because I list at least 10 items a day, sometimes more, sometimes less, just depending on how I'm feeling, basically. But as a general rule, I list 10 items a day. So if you think about that, if it's 10 items of clothing, I list Monday to Friday, and I generally do a lot of relists at the weekend. If I've got stock to list that's already been drafted, I will list it at the weekends, but generally I don't really do listing at the weekend. But that's 50 items a week. So if you're listing 50 items a week, that means you're having to source 50 items a week. Do you know what I mean? And some weeks you're just not going to get that.
Yeah, and there's a certain amount of pressure in that in itself, isn't there?
Yeah. So, yes.
And if you don't find those things, then that's your income. So, you know, then you're worrying where the money's going to come from.
For me, it's a good thing, but it's not for everybody, I don't suppose. It depends on each individual circumstances. I mean, I'm full-time and I rely on eBay to pay my rent, to pay my bills. So for me, yeah, it's a security blanket for me. So it's a good thing for me.
Yeah. We had lots of comments online from people saying that they just list whatever they get in, they list it straight away. Don't have any kind of backlog, any kind of death pile. There were
that works for them. That's perfectly fine, you know. So it's whatever works for yourselves.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that then, Karin?
I don't know. I think partly my unlisted stock issue is because it depends on how I'm feeling, on what I fancy doing, and I have days where I do loads and days where I do not a lot at all. So I think all of you, if you had my unlisted stock, you probably would have had it all listed ages ago. I've been sitting on stuff for ages. Yeah, you would have done, Karin.
I'm back.
I think it is. I think a lot of it is, I know I've got that stuff there, so I don't have to worry about sourcing, because I do go out and get not a lot, or, you know, I mean, like I went to 6 shops last week and I only got, was it 15 or 16 items? So that's not a lot really. And that's the first time I'd been out sourcing since November, because I'd had such a backlog of stuff to list. So I don't know. Just see what it's like when I've actually got everything listed and see how I feel then.
Yeah. Karin, your sort of business model is more that you source and then list almost straight away. Do you have much of a backlog? Or how do you feel about having a backlog?
I've got about 70 or 80 things down there unlisted. That's about a week's worth. That's the amount that I like to keep. Because what if one of my kids is ill? I list 10 new items every day, Monday to Sunday. Because I've got the featured shop, I can schedule them all. So I haven't actually got to physically sit there and list every single day. It's just the way I work it. And I like having that as a bit of a security blanket. Does that mean, other than my kids' books, that are just at the bottom, does it mean other than that everything gets put to the bottom? No, because it does all get listed. But I do like having that bit of that backlog. And I have found since probably the 2nd or 3rd week in January, my sales have dramatically increased, where I've been activating 10 new listings every day. Now, I used to do like 30, 40 listings in a day. I know it sounds a lot, but I'm a real lazy lister. So I do 20, 30, 40 listings in a day, and I'd activate them all there and then. And then that'd be be me done for a few weeks. But I've noticed my views are going up. Everything is going plus since I've started activating 10 a day. So me holding stock back, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I think when you get to the point, if you've got a death pile or a backlog of stock where it's just constantly growing and growing and growing and growing, you then need to sit down and think and talk to yourself. Am I actually just buying for the sake of buying, or am I buying to sell?
Yeah, that's when it does become a problem, isn't it?
Mm.
Definitely. So Heather, do you see that as having stock aside as a security blanket? Do you think that's important?
I like having a bit. I mean, I'm very fortunate, I think, in where I live, in that there is very rarely a time when there isn't enough stuff. And I try and be incredibly picky about what I pick up. I still pick up stuff with flaws and what have you, and I still have to fix it. But there's a point at which if it's too overwhelming, it's like, got to get that sorted. But I like having a little cushion of stuff, much like Karin. I mean, I list 5 a day rather than sometimes a bit more. But, you know, between 5 and 10 a day, every single day, without fail. And I just find that consistent approach. As far as compared to this time last year, I'm having a much better time. So either I'm getting better at picking, because it's what you sell that's important. You can list as much as you like and have piles of stuff, but if you're not actually getting stuff out the door as well, then you're going to run into just growing piles of stock. So I like to get rid of stuff too, but I'm a bit much. I don't like giving things away. I like to get decent price. That's the battle.
Yeah. There's a comment from Richard Payne says, I'm still finding stock in my piles I bought years ago and completely forgot about. Listed a central heating programmer I found last night, and it sold this morning for £90.
Wow.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's good when that happens, when you list something you've had for a while and then it sells more or less straight away. It's like, oh my God, I've been sat on that for like years.
Mm. I done that when I first started. I wouldn't say I've had stuff hanging around for years, obviously, but when I first started, I was picking up a bit of everything, and I can't remember what it was. It was something electronic, and I was just sitting on it because I didn't want to list it. It sold within the first 2 hours. It's like, why didn't I get this listed sooner?
Yeah. So because of that, I prefer the term money piles, because they're not really death piles, are they? That's such a negative way of putting it, but having stuff there is money, basically. And yes, you don't have it listed, so it's not making you that money, but it's always there to make you that money when you need it.
Yeah.
So it's an investment in a way, rather than something that's completely negative. So
that's a good way to look at it, that, Andrea. It's an investment.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very, it's a very good term, that. I like that.
Somebody said in there that there's a hoarder, maybe there's a bit of a hoarder in all of us. And I was like, no, I'm not a hoarder. And then I've realised people that hoard stuff, they hoard all the different, well, often it's a sentimental attachment, or they think it's useful. And I've realised I hoard packaging and boxes. And the garage is like, I can't get to the stock now. I'm having to move like mountains of boxes, because all my friends and my neighbours and my family all save me their boxes. And then somebody said, do you want these? I go, yeah. Like, I'm thinking, I'd be picking things up at the car boot, so I need all those boxes, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah. They mainly sell clothing as well.
I do now, yeah. I literally am thinking, car boot's coming. I'm going to my lampshades. I need those boxes.
I've got a hoard of IKEA bags.
Oh yeah, well, see, they're useful. You need those.
Oh God, the belting, brilliant. Can't have too many IKEA bags.
No, I agree.
You always know a reseller at the car boot sale because they've got an IKEA bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a problem at boot sales. We put our IKEA bag down, which is full of stuff, to look through other stalls.
Yeah.
A lot of stall holders use them to display their stock at the side of their tables, and people come along and rummage through it.
Yeah, I've had that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do agree. I think there is a tiny little bit of a hoarder in all of us.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Nick is definitely a hoarder, and it runs in his family. He's just found a way of, hoarding stuff and then making money out of it. So
I
if
think
you
I'm
make
a
money
shopaholic.
out of it, that's a good thing.
I like shopping. That's my problem. And when it was just me and Carl and no kids, double income, no kids, we used to be in Bluewater every weekend. It used to be, let's go to Bluewater because we had nothing better to do.
Oh, that's near my partner's mum, Bluewater.
Yeah.
Yeah, she lives in Upminster. Is that near you, Karen?
No. No.
She definitely goes to Bluewater, though.
Oh. I don't know where Upminster is. I'm trying to think.
I bet you'll discover that all of us used to collect things as well. Because I think there's a bit of that in hoarding tendencies.
I still do collect.
Because they'll be worth something one day.
I'm a collector of My Little Ponies and Polly Pockets, vintage ones. Yeah. I've got quite a lot. Yeah.
I used to have weird collections as a child. Just leave it there.
Room, Sam, if I had the room, I would collect My Little Ponies as well.
Oh, would you? Yeah.
Kelly's in the chat. Hi, Kelly. I think storage can determine the size of your death piles. Lots of space to hide stuff equals more buying, equals more piles. Death piles, wash piles, repair piles, call it what you like. And I think that's very true.
Here's something under my desk.
Yeah, and we put stuff in our loft, and don't see it for years sometimes.
Well, Andrea, Nick's just put in the chat.
Yeah.
Item rehomer. Sometimes the items take longer to rehome than I would like.
Oh, yeah, I like that. That's good.
A good way of looking at it, Nick.
That's a good way of putting it. So going back to when we said that quite often our death piles are because we don't want to list it or we put off listing it. Do you find that there are certain things that just sit there unlisted? What are your certain things that sit there unlisted and why? Heather?
Big stuff, electrical stuff. I've got one of those pebble tumbler machines. They're amazing things, but the thought of listing that just gives me the heebie-jeebies. And I've also got like a built-in Wharfdale stereo system. God knows why I bought it. The chap practically gave it to me, but of course I'm not going to post that. So that I just need it gone. And actually this summer, because I'm resorting my shed out, all of that stuff will go, never to be seen again and never to be bought again. I have learned.
Yeah, Karen, how about you? What don't you like listing?
Lots. Electronics, books. DVDs are really easy to list, but they just don't sell, so I'm going to add them to my list. Anything bulky, any furniture. So basically, clothing and jewellery, I don't mind. Everything else can go and do one. And I just don't buy it anymore. And it's as simple as that. I do not buy it anymore.
Yeah.
Vintage stuff, I don't mind buying, stuff that reminds me of the 70s, 80s. I like buying that stuff and I will list it. But when I look at something, even for Grandma Shop, which I've not brought for ages, I'm waiting for the car boots to start again. But I will look at it and think, am I realistically going to want to post that? If the answer is no, then I ain't buying it.
Yeah. So, Karin, I think we can establish the fact that you don't like listing cameras.
No. Although I've really got to do something about them because they're really annoying me. And I have a massive bag of Lego that needs washing. And it's moved from in here to the living room. So it will be going in the kitchen. And I'm going to put it all in a big sink full of Zaflora. And hopefully that will disinfect it and clean it because it smells horrible.
Ooh, that's a good tip there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sam, what have you got sitting around that you just don't want to list? You're not keen on it?
Oh God, loads, Andrea. I've got rid of loads, to be honest with you. But basically anything that's not clothing really nowadays. The one thing that I totally and utterly hate is Lego. Oh my God, I couldn't think. I'd rather pull my teeth out. I really would and I know there's money in it and there's good money in it, but I could think of nothing worse than sitting with a big tub of Lego and sorting it out, like sorting the figures out and sorting sets out. And I mean, hats off to Ben Fitzpatrick. He's made loads of money doing that, and there is good money in it, but I couldn't think of anything worse. But generally, anything electrical, because you know, I'm always frightened that there's going to be something wrong with it, or, you know, I have sold electricals, but no, I don't think I would pick up electricals now. I might pick up the odd Walkman and stuff if I saw it at a car boot sale, you know, like a Sony Walkman or something like that. But yeah, board games, anything with loads of pieces in it, no, not me. No, I'm lazy. I just want to chuck something on a mannequin and photograph it.
Yeah,
and, you know,
that's my ideal. Just put it on a hanger or the mannequin. And...
yeah, I mean, I will pick stuff up that's not non-clothing, but there's an awful lot that I wouldn't pick up anymore. Mugs being one, definitely not. I took them all to the charity shop, even all my Disney ones, just took them. No.
Yeah.
I hope there wasn't any eel ones in that, Sam.
I don't think there was, actually.
It's okay then.
You've got some ER plushies if you collect ER plushies.
No, just mugs.
Just mugs. I'll keep an eye out.
I see. I buy mugs to sell them, and then when they miraculously don't sell, they may end up in my cup cupboard.
That's what I've done with the ones that are not sold. I had a few Starbucks ones in there that I bought to sell and never sold, so I put them in there. And I bought this little dude. I think he's grumpy, and he's my mug at the moment, mug of choice. But I tend to break things. I'm very clumsy.
That dopey?
I think it's dopey, yeah.
Yeah.
No. But I'm very clumsy and I break a lot of things, so I need lots of mugs.
And that's your excuse, and you're sticking to it.
Yes, it is. Yes, you should try that one, Andrea, with Nick.
No. Yeah, he'll say I could be clumsy too.
Yeah.
Becca says, I think some of my investments, I purchased them as current trend, but by the time they're listed, they'll be vintage.
Yeah.
Have you got anything like that, Shelley? That you go
no, so I haven't got the death files. The stuff that I know I don't like listing, there was loads of stuff when I listed for a charity. I was just reliant on whatever was donated. So we had so much Lego. So I listed Lego, I did loads of electricals. I listed so much stuff that I wouldn't want to list now. But I was just lumbered with it. I had to do it. There's a guy at our car boot who's a bit of a Lego expert, and he has all the minifigures and that he sells. And he actually, because it was for the charity, he actually came around and picked up all the minifigures and sorted them all for me, put all the right heads and hats. Oh, another ka-ching. And it told me which ones were worth, good money, and really, really kind. But I don't know if anybody was following me on Insta back then. I was just like standing on a chair and saying, "Oh my God, look at this!" It was just all over the lounge, Lego. And I've sold, stuff sold for good money because people used to give us computer consoles and games consoles. And I tell you what else, dealing with, you definitely get different kind of customers with different things you're selling. I think I had so many problems with the console and like the games buyers. I did a lot on Facebook, and I ended up having to block loads of people. It seemed to attract dickheads. And then at one point I got sick of clothes, because I'm like, crikes, people can't measure themselves. That's it. I can't do clothes. I'll have to do other stuff. But I do clothes because it's readily available. So yeah, I wouldn't want to. Cameras I thought I would get into, and then I discovered I don't really want to get into that either. It's quite nice if something that you don't have to, that you know about, or like you can test and you can completely be 100% sure it's all good when it's going out. But yeah, I do list bulky stuff still, and I'm sure when the car boots come around, it's going to be dangerous for me. Yeah. Oh, curtains. I don't like listing curtains. So now I say I'm only getting them if they're in a packet.
Oh no, I love listing curtains.
Oh, I don't. I've seen lots of people doing well with curtains.
Yeah, quickly.
Get good money for curtains as well. If you can ones, yeah. I think I sold them at the beginning of the week for about 55 a pair of Next curtains.
Next? Really?
Next curtains.
I sold some Laura Ashley's, which I got from the car boot, only for about that much, and they were in the packet. That's why I got them. No,
these were used as well. They had a nice print on them, and they were quite modern. Yeah, paid £10 for them, but they were a big size, and they sold for 55. Yeah. So yeah, I am a bit selective on what I pick up, but yeah. I think I got nearly 100 for a pair of Laura Ashley curtains that I had. So
maybe I undersold then.
did they sell quite quick?
I can't remember what lengths they were though. They might not have been really long.
The longer and the wider, the better.
Yeah.
But see, it's storage as well for you, I suppose, Shelley. I've got the unit, so it's not, it's not, doesn't really matter for me.
Yeah, it takes up quite a lot of room.
We do take a lot of room up, yeah.
Sorry, I got a little fruit fly. It was buzzing around my head last night, and then it just was again, and I've got it. I squished it.
Thanks for the info, Karin.
That's all right.
Ads is in the chat and says, I think not having a backlog would make me more alert and motivated, though. So that's a good point for not having one. That's an interesting point. I've not thought of that.
I think it would make me panic buy. I think I'll go out there thinking I've got nothing to sell, I've got nothing to sell, I've got nothing to sell, I've got nothing to sell. I've got all this stuff here, but I've got nothing to put list, I've got nothing to list, and I would go out and I would buy some right dodgy stuff. Not that half my stuff isn't right dodgy stuff anyway, but
Yeah, because having that backlog means that it's not desperate to source, so you can pick and choose at your leisure, really, because you never know what you're going to find. I mean, you just don't know if you're going to find that thing that's worth selling. So, it gives you that freedom, doesn't it? Question from Money Mental. If you stockpile out of season stuff or with your stock to sell at or post car boot season, would that count as a death pile? Do you understand that question? If you stockpile out season stuff or to give you stock to sell post car boot season, would that count as a death pile?
No, I don't think so. I think what they mean is that if you were sourcing stock from a car boot sale, say you were sourcing in summer, would you source for winter and store it? Would you class that as a death pile? I think that's what it means. And I would say no. I would just class that as unlisted stock. If it's stuff that you're going to list, definitely.
Sorry, I didn't read that very well, but I do agree with you, Sam. That's exactly what we do. We stockpile.
Squirrel. The squirrels. We're all squirrels.
So I would say also with clothing. So as I say, I would say also with clothing, I will list it regardless whether it's a summer item or a winter item, regardless of the time of year, because sometimes they do sell straight away anyway.
Well, I sold a Christmas jumper the other week, as we all know. Yeah.
I sold one last June.
Beginning of February.
Last June I sold a Christmas jumper. They needed it for a pantomime. They were doing it at a local hospital or something.
Cool.
I would say this though, it's like the shops are very seasonal. Like, like they have all the summer stock in, but people go away all year round. So if you want a swimsuit or if you want a strappy dress because you're going to Cuba for your holidays and it's the middle of winter, you're not going to get it in the shop. So where else are you going to go? You're going to go to eBay. Yeah. So it makes sense to list stock all year round.
Yeah, and it's the same with swimwear as well, because the shops, the high street shops, don't stock it during winter months.
No.
So people come online to find it.
They do.
Yeah. Sazguest says, with good till cancelled change. With good till cancelled, how will it change, or will it change how you list out of season? No, I'm not even reading things properly today. Will good till cancelled change how you list out of season clothes? Would you still list immediately and risk it hanging around and slipping lower in the search? There you go, got it out. So Heather, what do you think about that?
Oh God, I'm not sure really. This whole good till cancel thing has got me a bit confused. I was having a conversation with my husband about it. Now he's not an eBayer, he's not a reseller rather. So I was trying to say to him, what is it? Because he's a computer programmer. I said, what do you know about algorithms? And we had this sort of big conversation. I said, what can it look for? And he said, well, activity is probably one of the best indicators. So my sort of theory is if I'm going in and maybe tweaking photographs of stuff and having some sort of activity within the listing, then surely that can only be a good thing. If something is just sitting there and there is this tale that apparently stuff just kind of fades into the deep depths of the murkiness of eBay after about sort of 6 months, then we're all a bit in trouble because we don't get an opportunity to refresh. It's going to require more work for out of season stuff, I mean, I'm on about 1,200 listings at the moment. So, and that's everything I've got. And I do list everything regardless of season. But obviously I'm keen to get my winter stuff on quickly now, because I know that fewer people buy winter stuff in spring and onwards. So it's give it a chance. And if it doesn't sell, it goes down the shed, and it'll hopefully sell in the autumn, which after all is only about 8 months away. So yeah, so I don't really know how it's going to change things, but I'm just aware that the algorithms can only be sophisticated to a point. They can't know everything, and how they're going to decide who comes where in a best match mystifies me. It can only surely be on the keywords that you've used and how good your titles are and stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Has anyone else got any thoughts on that, on whether that would affect how you list things?
I'm going to be positive. Because for me, I'm having and sorry for the people who haven't got the buttons yet, but I'm having such a good time with offers to watchers, offers to buyers, I think it's called. I'm having such a good time with it that all I'm thinking is, if it's on good till cancelled and you keep the watchers, I can send offers to even more people, and it's really working well for me. So I'm now thinking might work out well for me. So, which I mean, and the same for everybody. When we've all got the buttons, we're all going to be a level playing field unless somebody's paying to promote. Well, we don't all want to do that, because obviously you're going to squeeze your margins. But and actually, if I'm knocking £1 or £2 off, the way, I don't know if this is just, I don't know if this is being nasty or not, but I'd rather knock the £1 or £2 off to the buyer than pay eBay to promote it. Like, I like that they're getting a better deal than, you know.
Yeah.
So,
well, I actually thought about that myself, Shelley, and instead of promoting my listings, I did like a sale, you know, sort of like 20% off or 25% off. Because like you say, I'd rather give it to the buyer.
yeah.
And you also get the little red line through, so they know it's been a higher price and stuff like that. I would rather do that than promote as well. But I am trialing both at the moment, so did a load of promoted last night, only at 1%, just to see how it goes. I've done a certain category of promoted listings, but I do like doing promotions where you get the big slash through. So it was like £25 and it's now £21.50 or something like that. You know what I mean? Because the buyer then feels like they're getting a deal.
Yeah, I did. After the eBay chat the other week, I did a although I don't think anybody's used it, you know, like when you buy 3 and you get % off the third one or something, but not the actual paying to promote thing. So the buyer's still getting the boon there. Money Mentor says you can only send offers up to 5 times on an item. So I'm guessing once you've done that, then
to the watchers, that you can only send it up to so many times.
You'd have to end it and relist it if you wanted to do that again.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a lot of times that you're offering. That would be a lot of times. I mean, I'm getting a lot of people accepting the offers, and it is only £1 or £2. So it's like, I don't know, if it's just like I'd love to see how the email is worded that they get.
Well, I'll watch one of your items and you can send me an offer and I'll let you know what it comes back as.
Yeah, do that.
Fantastic.
James says you can list 50 items in a week, but if you don't sell 50 items in a week, you still have those items. So I found that interesting, because I never see a death pile as being things that I've got listed. I always think of them as things that I haven't listed, you know, things that are sitting there that I haven't dealt with. If I've listed it, I think, good, I've dealt with that. So do you ever think of things that are listed and not selling as part of your death pile?
Right. Newsflash here. Hate to say it. I don't know any reseller that will buy something, list it, and it sells straight away every single time. Otherwise, let's be honest, there'd be more of us doing it. I don't know of any reseller that hasn't brought something that they've listed and for some reason just will not sell and end up having to take to a charity shop or to a boot sale or something. You can't look at that as a death pile. Your work's done. Your work is done at that point.
That's how I
My work is done. If it sells, great. And I'm not saying a lot of it doesn't sell, but the stuff that doesn't sell, I don't even think about it. I just take it out and take it to the recycle bin.
It is,
Like,
yeah. It's some kind of other annoyance. It's not a death pile, but it is something equally more annoying for me. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's something else that gets under my skin, but it's not a death pile. We need a new term. Oh, it's sticky stock, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I list 50 items a week, like I was saying before. I do like 10 a day. I sell more. Generally, as a rule, I sell more than 50 items a week.
Yeah.
So if I'm listing 50 new items, I'm selling 50. It's not then 50 items I'm listing, but I generally sell more than 50 items a week. So it's sort of, and on good weeks, which we've not had very many lately, I can sell more than 50.
I mean, I do my accounts monthly. I keep up to my accounts monthly. If I get a receipt in, I shove it. I've got a really simple spreadsheet. I shove it on there. Right now, I know every month I'm in profit. Every month I'm in profit. Yes, do you know what? There will be things that will cost me £5 that will not sell and end up going to the recycle bin. But they are few and far between compared to the amount of items that I'm selling for a lot of profit, you know. So
but yeah, at the end of the day, we're all in profit, aren't we? Because there's something that Nick says, which sometimes I try and remind myself of, you know, that actually really everything's paid for because you're in profit. So, you know, are you laughing at me?
No, I'm laughing at Lex.
Lex.
I'm renaming my death pile to a kitten pile because who could eat a pile of kittens?
People who don't know cats, Lex.
James said I've got his comment mixed up with a response to an earlier comment. I just thought that was an interesting point. That, you know, do some people see death piles as, or your listed stock as part of your death pile if it's not shifting?
But then that's sticky
That's
stock.
an interesting question. So let's move on to, do you ever clear out any stock? And if so, what do you do with it? Do you redonate? Do you sell in bulk? Do you boot sale? I'll go to you first, Sam, because I know you did a boot sale recently.
Yeah, but it's the first one that I've done since reselling. So, yeah, I generally clear out to charity shops. Not as often as I'd like, because I'm a bit of a, you know, if I buy something, I want to get some money back for it, sort of thing. You know what I mean? But you've got to be realistic. You know what I mean? And you know, you are going to get losses in any business that you do, any business model. You know, at some point you were going to take a loss on stuff. I don't care what people say. You don't make profit all of the time. You're going to take a loss. I went to the boot sale with stuff and I let stuff go for £1.50. And you know what? It felt so good just to get it out.
Yeah.
And it was all like my death pile, like I was saying, my proper death pile, stuff that was there. There was no way that I was going to list that. So 2K, I made £80. I paid £15 from the stall. So I was quite happy with that. And the rest I brought home, left in the car, and then took it straight to the charity shop the day after. And one of the items I paid £10 for, but you know what? I don't care. At the end of the day, it's going back to a charity shop that's going to make money on it, that's going to go to a good cause. And if you look at it as if you're donating and making the charity money, then it makes you feel a bit better as well. So yeah, but yeah, I think I need to do more of it, clearing out.
Yeah. We tend to do the same thing. We go to boot sales and we've got a spare room full of stuff at the moment just to take to a boot sale once the weather's a bit better and clear out.
Do you let it go cheaply, Andrea? Is it just a case of getting rid, like
a case of getting rid and just cashing in what we can, really? Because quite often we get to the end of it and then we're like, right, let's just fill some boxes for charity and we donate the rest.
Yeah.
Because we just, you know, we want it out. But it's just giving it a second chance to make a little bit of money out of it at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You tend to redonate quite a lot, don't you, Shelley?
Yeah, I've redonated, I've free-cycled. I've sold some stuff off on Facebook. Like, I went a bit mad buying paperback Harry Potters, but it's the hardbacks that I really do well with. So I've gotten rid of loads of sets on Facebook. And I got rid of a load of stuff before Christmas, well, like steel puzzles on the numbers that I don't want anymore. But yeah, redonate. I gave a load of stuff. There's a friend of ours who knows a lot of people who can just, she passes stuff out to, like I gave her couple of sacks of 2 or 3 sacks of coats, and she's saying, oh, one the really heavy coat was like a shearling thing, but I just couldn't sell it. And she said, oh, a guy that she knows loved it, and so she just gave it to him, which was really nice to hear. But the other thing as well, what you said, Sam, about treating something as a donation, with some of my bad buys, if it was quite expensive and it's still saleable, but I just don't want to do it, then I've exchanged some stuff. But if it's a few quid, like the jumper that I was complaining about on Insta yesterday, the John Smedley with holes in it, it was only £3.50, and the charity shop I got it from, I really like what they do, and I really like, you know, they have a lot of people volunteering that have learning disabilities, and I just thought that's just a donation to them. So, you know, that helps as well.
Yeah. Thinking about selling in bulk, you quite often do that, don't you, Karin?
Not really anymore. I've done it a couple of times. I sold off bulk, the clothing in bulk. I tend to buy it in bulk. I do get rid of it quite quickly. I mean, I reduce every month, don't I? Until it gets to £3.99. If it don't sell, it goes to the recycling bin. I love it. I would give to a charity shop, but I'm the nun that would buy it back again. Hence, I never give it to the charity shop. So there's a Salvation Army and a breast cancer awareness one in the local area, that I just don't rotate between them which one's going to get the sack of clothing that week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't tend to put selling, but I mean, someone mentioned in there about cash for clothes. I just don't think it's worth my time and energy taking it up there for what they offer, to be honest. I'd rather just put it in the bin and it's done and dusted.
Yeah. But if you have single items that are listed and they're not really shifting, they're similar sizes, do you then sort of job lot it or do like bundles of stuff?
I was doing bundles, but you get really low amount, and I'd rather I can't bother to do it.
Okay.
I'm quite lazy. I can't bother, so I just shove it all in the recycling bin.
Yeah. I mean, I got in a bit of a pickle because, you know, as we've said before, a couple of years back, we started buying adult clothes as well as kids' clothes, and we had a unit and we had a lot of stock. And then I started the kids' clothes shop, so all the adult stuff went in the loft. And then by the time I came to deal with it, I just really didn't want to deal with it. So I used that as an option and then just sold it off in bulk. And that worked for that. So has anyone else done anything like that?
I've got a wholesale job lot that I'm selling through, that I'm working through, and it owes me nothing now. I've made the money back on it. And there's I've got sets that are listed up at eBay, and they're selling slowly over, but I've also got quite a lot of stuff left over, you know, that don't match up, like bottoms and tops and different sizes and stuff. So I did a job lot of those on eBay, and I put it for like market traders, and, you know, I put in the title ideal for market traders and stuff like that. And I sold a job lot of those. So, and I'm going to do another couple of batches of those with, it's all new stock, so people can make good profit on it if they want. So, but I've made my profit from it. Well, I've made my money back, and I've got a load that I'll make profit on. And then this other stuff, I just want to bulk it all up.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean, do you all find it liberating, you know, like when you do get rid of old stock, whether that's you give it back to charity, whether that's you throw it in the bin, whether that's you sell it at a boot sale, there's something quite liberating about getting that stock out of your home.
It's cathartic, because
it's not really business sense, is it? But there is something liberating.
It's like decluttering. When that stuff's in, I say it gets under my skin. Like, and also if you're worried because you're like, oh, I spent a tenner on that and I'm not getting anything from it. Once it's gone, you can completely write it off then, and you don't even think about it after that. But the whole time it's there staring at you, taunting you, and you feel it just brings you down every time you see it. So
can I just ask anybody, with accounting as well, I know we don't really do accounting on here, but stuff that you write off or you send to charity or whatever, do you mark that down for your accounts?
No.
Like as a loss?
No, I do cash basis, so it's money in, money out.
Right.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
The money
accrual accounting you're talking about. That's
because I don't actually do that, but speaking to an accountant, he said that you should. If you buy something and it has a hole in it, or if you buy something, you redonate it, you should mark down that and put it against the loss on your account. I know it's a lot of faff. It's something that I'm going to look into, but I just wondered whether anybody else did it.
I mean, I've never been audited. I've been self-employed now since 2009, 2010. I've been self-employed. I've never been audited, but I've always just done basic cash basis accounting.
Yeah, that's what we do. Zahir's in the chat. Hi, Zahir. And says, personally, I am trying to see piles of unlisted stock as a liability, not an asset, as it's costing me space whilst tying up capital and not making any money. Does anyone else see it that way? How about you, Heather?
I haven't got vast amounts of stuff that are sitting there. They're all being processed, and they're at different stages of the process. So I haven't got stuff that's just sat somewhere where nothing's happening to it. There are the odd things like the stereo and the camera, but most of it is listed. It's on, and I love the thrill of going and getting new stuff. But I won't get stuck into the new lot, which I've got some there to photograph, until the old stuff is actually dealt with. You know, it keeps me in check, and you know, it must be much more difficult for someone like Zahir who buys huge amounts of stuff. They've sunk so much money into it that it must be quite frightening, whereas the amount of money I spend, I know what I spend a month roughly on stock, and it's not so much to frighten the horses. But you know, I've not got money that's just been sucked up like that. But I think if you're retail arbitraging, which is hugely expensive, or doing that stuff, then I think that would worry the hell out of me. I think.
But then at the same time, in the way that Zahir does things, and in the way that we've bought a job lot recently, and with the car parts, etc., when the deal's there, you've got to grab it, haven't you? It's knowing full well that it's going to tie up all that stock for months, years to come, perhaps.
That's what I was like with the wholesale. You know, it was such a good offer that I couldn't turn it down. You know, so
I think what Z's saying though is partly about him trying to keep himself motivated.
Yeah.
So that's why he's trying to say it like that, so that he can actually keep his is that the right word? Motivation. Keep himself listing it. Because I guess when it's all sat there, maybe I'd lose interest. You know.
Yeah.
When stuff's fresh and new, it's easier to list, isn't it? But if it's been there 3 months, then harder.
You like the thrill of going out shopping and sourcing new items and that. And when it's a big bulk buy like that, and you're listing the same stuff every day, you've got to keep yourself motivated to do that.
Yeah, that initial buzz, excitement, probably wears off a bit.
Oh, he says Shelston knows me well. He said it's different for us, but it's different for us all. We all have to keep it under check, otherwise it can just overwhelm. So I'm trying hard to get it done. And I think that is a good point for all of us. And I don't think that any of us could say that we're not trying to get it listed, because we are. We don't really want all that stuff just sitting there. We obviously want to get it on and make money from it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have bought it in the first place.
I don't think there is a wrong or a right way. I think there is only a right way for you. It doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody.
Oh God, yeah. We all work differently, apart from me and you, Karen, because we just work the same.
Oh, he's blinking offers to watches. I haven't got it yet.
You're gonna love it.
So, Karin, have I asked you yet what you do about clearing out? What do you redonate, or do you?
I'll be honest. I've been really lucky so far. I've sold everything I've bought. When it gets to being hanging around for a little bit, I stick it on auction, and I've sold it that way. So I've been really lucky so far. I've probably only had about 2 or 3 things that I've got rid of, and I've just redonated them in with my own stuff to give to the charity shop. So I've been okay.
Yeah, that's the ideal.
I've been lucky, I know. I'm sure there'll be a time when I have a load of stuff that I need to do something with, but I've been lucky so far.
Okay, well, it's 1:10. No, it's not. It's 2:10. I don't know what day it is.
It's all right. It's almost over.
So thank you very much to everybody in the chat who's joined us and joined in with the conversation. Really sorry if we haven't read out certain comments, because it's hard to keep up with the chat sometimes. Nick's back pointing a camera at me. And thank you to our panel today, and yeah, just hope it's been interesting, and you know, it's good to share our experiences and get different takes on what we do, really. So anything to add or anything to say before we go?
No.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, good luck to anyone going to Jumbles this weekend.
Yeah.
Show off, not coming.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so bye everyone. Thank you for joining me, and
Bye.
see you again
Bye.
soon. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.